Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our event on Google Cloud Security Tools and Best Practices to Strengthen Your Security Posture. My name is Lauren, and I'm the content manager for the Google Cloud community. Joining us today are technical account managers Eduardo and Javier, who will be taking us through the content and answering your questions. Questions are encouraged, so please feel free to add those into the YouTube chat box, and we'll be sure to get to them in the chat or at the end of the presentation. And we do have a few pre-submitted questions, so we'll cover those as well. And for any that we don't get to, we'll be sure to address them in a recap blog post in the Google Cloud community. And a link to that is in the YouTube description. All right, well, with that, I'll hand it over to the team to get us started. And we'd love to hear from you as well, where you're joining us from in the chat, and hear your questions. So we'll keep an eye on those there. All right, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lauren. Hi, everyone. So let's start off introducing ourselves. My name is Eduardo Rossettini. I'm here with Javier Huerta. We are part of Google Cloud Consulting team here at Google, and we're going to be your speakers today. So starting off with the agenda, first thing, why security is important. So we're going to do a brief introduction about the importance of security from Google Cloud perspective. And then we're going to move over to Google Security Vision, and then talk about security solutions and how we can work together as a trusted security partner. And then we're going to have some time for Q&A. As Laura has mentioned, there are already some pre-submitted questions we're going to address, and also feel free to ask us questions in the chat. So starting off with why security is important. Security and compliance remain top of mind as business issues. We have, a number of events in the media that covers widespread vulnerabilities, cybercrime, and global regulations. So depending on the event, for example, a compliance event, you can have companies that are completely shut down because of non-compliance, regulation. Same thing with brand damage. Depending on the event, the damage on the corporation can be huge, right? And widespread vulnerabilities, huge IT operating cost drivers. So the idea is that we can address that, so we can prevent and work with the companies not to face those types of issues. And digital transformation, it requires security transformation, right? So there is a survey from KPMG on Fortune 500. So that CEOs, they said, cybersecurity risk would be the greatest threat to their organization's growth over the coming 3 years, right? So we begin with a simple premise. Digital transformation requires security transformation. Cyber risk has become many organizations' biggest risk, and managing effectively is imperative to succeed and thrive going forward. So moving on to Google Security Vision, what that means from a security point of view, from Google point of view, right? So despite today's challenging threat environment, Google keeps more people safe online than anyone else, right? So we have like 5 billion devices protected for safe browsing on Google Chrome. We have around 2.5 billion active Gmail users protected against phishing, malware, and spam. VirusTotal, which is the world's premier malware intelligence service, we have over 2.4 billion files in our data set to security prevention. We have petabytes of information from Chronicle Security Command Center to analyze and to have a proper threat detection and response mechanism. And let me talk about this specific security event that was last year in June. That was the biggest DDoS attack ever recorded. So there was a Cloud Armor customer here at Google Cloud. They were targeted a series of HTTPS DDoS attacks that peaked 46 million requests per second. Just to give an idea about in terms of the size of this attack, this is like receiving all the daily requests from Wikipedia in 10 seconds. So this is the size of the attack that we faced. So Cloud Armor was the layer that protected the customers on that, and there was completely successful, and there was no impact on the customer. So moving on to why, what if enterprises were built on the same platform and could use the same tools and practices that protect Google, right? So how these enterprises that are not staffed, doesn't have the proper skills in security, can leverage what Google can use as a threat mechanism, defense mechanism. So what Google Cloud offers is providing those customers the same technologies, the same tools, the same capabilities that we have here at Google. So how do we do that, right? So security by default drives customers to choose Google Cloud. So first, we have implemented zero trust at the core of our services and our operation, enabling you to trust nothing. Second, we have built cloud scale threat detection and response, allowing you to detect everything. And third, we know that it's not just about the tools, right? You need to have also advisory service. So Google can provide you that as well. So you can have all our support to transform the security operations. So on Google Cloud, what we aim, right? We aim our customers to be our customers' most trusted cloud, and also to have tools and solutions to protect the on-premises threats as well on any cloud, bringing trust everywhere. Talking about security solution and trusted cloud, Google aims to be your trusted partner in security. We have the default secure, which is defense in depth strategy. By default, it's easy and it's scalable across all Google products. The transparency is our second pillar, right? You can work not just with technology, but through transparency. And third, innovation, right? So our customers, they can focus their business on value, and we take care of the rest from a security perspective. So moving on to our security principles. We build privacy that works for everyone. So protecting our users and security is a responsibility that comes with creating products and services that are free and accessible for everyone. This is especially important as technology progresses and safety needs to evolve. We look into those principles to guide our products and our processes and our people in keeping our users' data private, safe, and secure. So we have like 7 security principles. So first, making it easy for everyone, respect our users, being clear about what data we collect and why. We never sell our users' personal information to anyone. We empower people to review, to move, or to delete their data. We lead by example to advance online security for all. And last, we build the strongest security technologies into our product. So how do we do that? How do we make sure we can, follow and execute on those pillars, right? So first thing, state-of-the-art data center. What does that mean? Is that we have data centers that are monitored 24/7, right? Internal, external, very cutting-edge technology that can detect and track intruders. Second, we have custom server hardware and software. Google have custom technology that's developed, by Google itself. So we know exactly what we're using and how safe, those solutions are. Third, hardware tracking and disposal. Everything is tracked. There is a proper governance on that. So we all the equipment in our data center, from acquisition to installation to retirement to destruction, via barcodes and asset tags. So we track everything. Fourth, global network with unique security benefits. So as you know, there is a very massive infrastructure behind Google to support those services. So use this same infrastructure to provide services to cloud as well. Fifth, securing data in transit. So the Google Front Edge, which is the first perimeter that protects Google from the internet, has a strong encryption protocol, such as TLS. So this is something that we leverage for Google Cloud customers as well. Low latency and highly available solution. So that means that Google data centers are all geographically distributed across the globe. So that means that there is a failure in one data center, we can easily remove workloads and all the information to other data centers and keep the services online. So moving on to Google Cloud's world-class compliance capabilities, how we support the requirements. So it's very, very common that Google products, they undergo independent third-party audits, over 2 million control instances audited annually. So what that means is that we can ensure that privacy, security, risk management, and the quality of those the products that we offer are properly, following local regulations. So companies that choose to do business with us, they can comply with those regulations as well. In terms of advanced defense across different dimensions, so we have this different four pillars of technology, if you will. So first off, the network, as I mentioned before, we can provide the capability to absorb a huge amount of traffic coming from these types of attacks and respond properly. Second, the computer storage part, we have 100% of our data are encrypted at rest. Third, we block 99.9% of spam, phishing, malware emails on all our workspace users. And last one, the endpoint. We have over 2 billion browsers that are fully protected with the security that we built in. Trust everywhere. So, I think that's you now, Javier.
Yes, thank you very much, Eduardo. And thank you for everyone for being here. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about trust everywhere. We have seen a lot about how we at Google treat security, so we are going to start applying it to your infrastructure. First thing we would like to tell you is we would like to bring the power of Google to your operations. So what does this mean? If you can imagine, as well as Eduardo said, we are managing and ingesting petabytes and petabytes of data of security. So what we will be trying to do in the following slides is explain to you how this data relates to your operation and how you can manage and harness the power of Google in everything you do. So the first thing I'd like to tell you about is how a security infrastructure looks from our side. We have several key components, and I'm not going to go into detail into any of them, but I'll just tell them to you so that you know what we are going to be looking at next. We have identity federation and authorization. We have organizational level policies, which means you can control everything in your cloud from a single point. And this point will actually apply to every single project within your organization. Then we have shared VPCs. We can share components from a VPC to another project so that you have a central point of control for your resources. We build high availability and disaster recovery topologies. We establish interfaces to your on-prem environment via direct connections called dedicated interconnects. We secure your infrastructure for distributed denial of services attacks through Cloud Armor. We collect logs and we let you exploit them and analyze them using Cloud Operations Suite. We can monitor your infrastructure with Security Command Center. This is a complete infrastructure, but the main thing that you have to remember is that this is a validated solution by our cybersecurity action team, but we actually focus on your needs. If you have a transactional application, this environment will look a little bit different than, for example, if you have an informative block. One of the main things that we think about when we are considering architectures is whether the architecture is cost optimized, performance optimized, and it's available. So it will be a little bit adapted to your needs. We will be talking a little bit about these components and how they stack up. But first of all, we would like to explain to you how we build them and what is the basis for us building these infrastructures. We are based upon the National Institute for Standards cybersecurity framework. It's a voluntary guidance. It establishes several practices for organizations, and its main objective is to better manage and reduce your cybersecurity risk. Specifically for cloud solutions, one of the main things is that we can respond and recover automatically. So this is one of the first things that we have to shift our mental paradigm from an on-prem environment to a cloud environment. We can identify, detect things, but we have also to respond automatically. And this is something we can do in the cloud because we are all completely API based. So this is one of the main things. This is the way that we at Google think about security. And these are the products that will help you protect from each kind of attack. So we can identify attacks using something like Security Command Center, which we will be looking at further. We will protect you using technologies like reCAPTCHA, which you surely know. It's the little challenge you get just to know if you're a bot or not. We can detect these attacks using services like Mandiant or Chronicle. We can respond to them using also Mandiant and Chronicle, and we can recover automatically using the APIs that we talked about previously. We will be going a little bit further into these solutions a little bit ahead. Another important thing, we talked about a little bit about security everywhere. What did we mean by that? We are not only limited to Google Cloud. We will also protect you everywhere you are. And that means if you're on-prem, if you're on another cloud, we can also protect you. We have services that will specifically protect you inside Google Cloud. A good example is the virtual private cloud, where you can run your services inside of Google Cloud. We have the VPC service controls. We have your standard firewalls. But there are things that can run everywhere. A good example is, once again, reCAPTCHA. You can protect any kind of service everywhere it runs using reCAPTCHA. You can also use things like Chronicle. You place a load balancer in front of your application, be it running on-prem, on other cloud, or within Google Cloud, and we will protect you against a distributed denial of services attacks. And if you ask me, I think that is one of the main differences that we have with other clouds. We actually think about risk everywhere you are, not only inside Google Cloud, and we will be protecting you so that you can run your applications with the most confidence you can. So let's start by talking to you a little bit about what Security Command Center is. As you remember, I told you that there are several solutions based on the NIST framework. This is one of the first. This is Identify. What we do with Security Command Center is we actually think about security in terms of transparency. So the first thing you need is visibility. Security Command Center will let you know every single asset within your inventory, and it will let you track it. But furthermore, it will go a little bit further ahead. It will check for misconfigurations or vulnerabilities. It will tell you what the threat is, and it will tell you how to solve it. I actually have a client, a customer, who they actually had a slight attack. They were one of the databases, their pre-production database was hacked. So they asked us what we could do. We installed Security Command Center, and it was really interesting because they found a Kubernetes cluster that they didn't know exist. And that Kubernetes engine had a vulnerability, and they were actually running a very small crypto mining farm inside of it. And the main problem was that they didn't have enough visibility to find out about it, and didn't have the control to actually find the vulnerability and manage it. So just by eliminating this threat, they actually found the value within Security Command Center. So this is not, this is sadly a common occurrence. This is because we don't have enough visibility. We're still thinking in terms of on-prem. So this is one of the things that we offer that could change the way you think about security in the cloud. The next example is Beyond Corp Enterprise. And what does this mean? Okay, you have the Cloud Maturity Assessment Framework. It tells you that you have to go from an operational perspective to a transformational one. What does this mean? Well, you have to start thinking in a little bit different terms when you're thinking about cloud. Security specifically, when you're thinking about transformational issues, you're thinking that it doesn't matter where you're running your applications. An internal application should be as safe as an internet-facing one. An operational perspective will tell you you're only safe if you don't expose your data on the internet. We think a little bit different from that. We want you to run everything on the internet so everyone can have access to your data. Beyond Corp Enterprise will actually protect your data, and it runs on the edge of Google Cloud. It doesn't run inside of your VPC. So what we do is that we harness the power of Google Cloud, Google Chrome, I mean. If you remember, Eduardo, he gave you a real good example about how Google Chrome protects you on the internet. We take these features of Google Chrome, we combine it with our edge technology, and we protect your infrastructure from the outside, from the edge. We detect threats, we detect anomalies, and we won't let anyone enter your infrastructure if we are detecting there is something strange. But you won't even notice because the attack will be blocked on the outside. So now you can expose your applications to the internet without worrying if it's an internal app or not. Users will sign in as if they are signing into your usual applications, and they will get access to specifically the things they need. And we go furthermore. We also do DLP, in which we actually detect privacy issues. And if some user is trying to exfiltrate data that you don't want to be taken out of your infrastructure, Beyond Corp Enterprise will actually stop the data transmission, and it will inform you that someone is trying to take your information away. So now you can be as safe as you are on the internet as you are on your internal network. Next thing, we protect your web applications and your APIs using these two technologies, and I'm pretty sure that you know which ones these are because you interact with them every day. So I'm going to just to go really quick over the flow. You have traffic from the internet. You don't know whether it's good or bad traffic. It's just traffic for you. So you hit your load balancer, and then you go through Cloud Armor, which will actually protect you from distributed denial of services attacks. Once you're sure the traffic is not an attack, you will send your traffic towards either an API or an application. If you send it to an API, you can go through an API gateway like Apigee. Apigee will actually throttle the requests so you don't overwhelm your backends, no matter where they are. If they are in a cloud, or if they are in another cloud, in Google Cloud, or on-prem. It will throttle the requests. It will alert you if there are suspicious activities within the API. And if you have a web application, you have the same thing, but it's reCAPTCHA. So basically, you know what reCAPTCHA is, I'm pretty sure. You have your little challenge. If we figure out that your IP or your behavior on the internet is not really that of a human, we will actually send you the challenge. So if you ever wondered how we figured out whether you're a robot or not, it's because we analyze your IP and your behavior. And if we see that you are doing some sort of suspicious behavior somewhere out there on the internet, we will actually send you a challenge. So this is an example of Google's intelligence at work at scale, because we're analyzing petabytes of data just to send you that challenge. We also have security when you send your software through a software supply chain. So here I'm going to go again through this example very, very quickly. Basically, you will have your developers creating code. This code is going to be compiled. It's going to be sent through a cloud code. It's going to be worked on your workstations, and it will be sent to Artifact Registry, which is the storage for your containers. But before that, we're going to analyze it for malware or for any vulnerability. If we don't find any, we're going to digitally sign your image. Whenever you deploy this image, we are going to make sure that the digital image is exactly the same as the one your coders did and the one that has no vulnerabilities. So if this image is completely safe and secure, we will be deploying it to Kubernetes Engine or Cloud Run. If it has some difference from the one that you created, we're going to tell you, this is not the image you created, don't deploy it. So now let's take this idea further into scale. If you remember, we told you we are worried about your safety on the internet, but not only within Google Cloud. We want to make sure that you are safe everywhere you work. So we have another technology which is called Anthos. You may have heard of it. Basically, it's our idea of how to create a single control plane for everywhere where you run containers. Basically, what you have is your container image, and you can run it on another cloud, on-prem, on virtualized environments, or on Google Cloud, and you will have a single control plane. So you can deploy your application everywhere you like. You can deploy it at certain parts. You can deploy several different versions on different environments. So you have complete control and governance of your container images. So if you combine Anthos with our secure CI/CD software chain, what you're going to get is complete assurance that every single line of code that you're running everywhere on the cloud or on-prem is exactly the same as the one you created. There will be no doubt, and you can be completely safe and secure in the thought that you are not running any malicious code within your applications. So let's go a little bit further ahead, and we're going to be talking a little bit about a new security model which you are working on. We're going to be showing you two very similar applications. We're going to try to explain the difference because sometimes they get confused. This is our next generation security analytics model. The first application that I would like to show you, the first service, it's called Chronicle. You may have heard of it, and I'm going to explain it to you pretty fast. Chronicle is a security information and event management system, and you may have heard of this on an on-prem environment where you actually ingest data from several different sources, you correlate the data, and you may find some anomalies. First of all, we have Security Command Center, which we already talked about. It will find the vulnerabilities within your applications or within your infrastructure. Chronicle works by finding the vulnerabilities when you are running these applications and some users are coming in. But now let's think about in terms of Google scale. You're not running a single server or a couple of servers or 10 servers or 20 servers. You may be running thousands of servers, thousands of pods, thousands of services within the cloud. The main difference with Chronicle and a standard information and event management system is the scale at which Chronicle can run. And it's basically the scale of Google. So you can, as you can imagine, you can ingest many sources of data, and we're going to be looking at what sources of data could be generating petabytes of information from your side, and how we will help you correlate these events with real security threats. So what we do with Chronicle is, first of all, we take all of your applications and all of your services, and we ingest them, and we create a data lake from security information services. Every log is stored into Chronicle, every log that may have some information regarding security. Then what we use is Google Threat Intelligence, third-party intelligence, and you can bring your own threat intelligence, and we will start doing analysis. A very simple example, and I am oversimplifying things just for the sake of an argument, is, for example, if you start looking at a single IP that is trying to SSH into a server. This may be like, okay, maybe someone is wrong. And then you see that IP trying to log into your DNS server and trying to figure out what password it is. Then you have a threat. And then you may find this same IP trying to use an API to perhaps change your firewall rules. Now you have a real threat. Now, think about in terms of this example, but multiply it by your thousands of services, thousands of VMs, thousands of pods. Chronicle correlates this information for you, and it will help you find these kinds of attacks in real time, at the moment as they happen. So they will Chronicle will detect these anomalies using its threat detection rules. It will actually enrich these findings with other sources of information. It can security operations center, so it can continue investigating. But the main part and the most interesting thing is that you can start remediations without human intervention. So while all of this investigation is going on, Chronicle can send an alert and can, for example, block this IP from your firewall or block this SSH from the firewall. It can take action, and it will just tell you, okay, I did this, please investigate if this is right, and just make sure that your information is correct. Okay, so we're going a little bit ahead. Why Chronicle? Well, it's self-managed. It will do continuous intelligence and threat detection matching. It will do intelligent data fusion. It will take different sources of information and it will merge them into one. It will hunt at Google speed, and this is really important for the things that we're talking about. If you can imagine how many sources of information you may have, and we will be talking a little bit about these sources of information a little bit later, they are very, very big. So you need real threat detection in real time that works at speed. One example of a source of information which you may not be thinking about is the Google threat detection information, which we have the information from the IPs that are doing suspicious or malicious activity. It can be an input to your Chronicle. So we can actually tell you, okay, be on the lookout for these groups of IPs because we know that they have done attacks in the past. So this is a source of information you may not be thinking about right now, and it will help you a lot in the future. And another source of information is Mandiant. You may know this product. It's basically Mandiant is basically a company that has around 600 engineers that are completely devoted to security, and they have curated detections and they created threat intelligence. This is also an input to Chronicle. So this is also a place where you will get information regarding security and how to detect and remediate threats that are on the internet. So basically what we are trying to do with Mandiant is getting you a different source of information so you can do threat detection in real time, but with a lot higher intelligence than just correlating data. This will give you the information you need to start figuring out which is an attack and which is just a normal access. So this is basically how we see the Chronicle solution with Mandiant, because I know that most of the time when we talk to our customers about Security Command Center, Mandiant, and Chronicle, they tend to think that the solutions overlap a bit, and they don't. They're really complementary, but we will try to explain it to you with this slide. Basically, in the center, we have the Chronicle data lake. And as I told you before, this is fed with information from different sources. The first one is different cloud providers and on-prem services. The second one is for example, Mandiant, which will give you threat detection. It will give you threat intelligence. Virus Total can also send information. And the third one are your network and detection tools that you may currently have. So we ingest everything into a data lake at Google speeds and at Google size, and we start doing detection with analytics, rules engines, and threat hunting. We will start working on whether these accesses are right, these accesses are valid. In the meantime, Security Command Center is going to be working trying to find vulnerabilities in your infrastructure and your services. It will list you every single service you have, and it will tell you if these services are actually having any sort of vulnerability. And in the end, we have the Chronicle SOAR, which is the service that will allow you to collaborate between different teams in helping you solve these issues. So as you can see, you may think that these three solutions look very similar, but they are actually working together in order to get you the threat detection information you need. And this is basically what we're going to be talking about in our latest part. It's how it all works together. We already explained to you a little bit, but we are going to do like a recap because I know that this presentation is very information dense. Basically, you have the tools to make Google your world-class security. And I would like to stress this part. I don't think we can stress this part enough. What we want you to think is, what would you do if you had the threat security that we have as Google? So you will have it at your scale, obviously paying as much as you need, but you can have every service that we actually use. We operate on a shared fate model. What does this mean? That means it's our responsibility to be active partners while you deploy and to make sure that you are operating securely in every place that you are working. There are not really delineators to where our responsibility starts or ends. We work with you together. We want to make sure that your security is that your solution is completely secure, and that is why we call this a shared fate. What do we do in order to help you? We will give you blueprints, landing zone, and Security Command Center to make sure that you are as secure as you can be. You will be leveraging our innovations in intrusion monitoring and zero trust modeling, and since we have the threat detection service that you can ingest into Chronicle, you will be sure to have the latest information at every moment that you need it. Obviously, you will be harnessing the power of our infrastructure and the size and speed of our infrastructure. As I told you before, when we were talking about Chronicle, standard security information and event management services do not work that well on the cloud because they are a little bit limited on their capabilities. You can discover and protect sensitive data. If you remember, we talked a little bit in Beyond Corp Enterprise about Cloud DLP, which you can redact sensitive data. You can tell the service what is sensitive data for you, credit card numbers, addresses, names. And in case someone is trying to take out this information, we will redact it out and nobody will be able to see it. And we will prevent fraud and fight malware with Virus Total, which is our solution for scanning virus vulnerabilities, reCAPTCHA Enterprise, which we talked a little bit about in depth, and we also have web risk, in which we can actually monitor and figure out which accesses are valid and which are not. All of this is supported by premium support, in which we as technical account managers are a little bit part of. We work with premium support, so you have the best support you need 24/7, and we have the GCAT advisory services, which basically are the security arm of Google, and we will be giving you guidance on your events and your infrastructure needs as you need them. We also work with a broad security partner ecosystem. So if you already have an investment on these partners, you can keep working on them with us. We have these are partners that we work with usually, and we can implement the security in Google Cloud in order to further your security posture, or use that output, the output of these services, to ingest on Chronicle and give you even better threat and security detection. And finally, this is something that we have already talked a little bit about, but this is a little bit how your security solution in the end will look like. And I'll just go over this really quickly. You'll have, again, in the center, your Chronicle data lake with security information, and you will be feeding this data lake with different signals. For example, business to customer, you will be having reCAPTCHA Enterprise. So reCAPTCHA can be sending information to Chronicle regarding which accesses seem suspicious, which IPs seem to be bot attacks. You will be having employee input. So right here you have Beyond Corp Enterprise, which, as we told you, will secure your applications on your internet side from different clouds or on-prem, and we will be sending on who is trying to access what and whether someone is trying to extract information they shouldn't be. Also from Workspace, Google Workspace, we can send information on successful logins or activities within the system. Regarding your workloads on the cloud, you will be sending information that comes from Security Command Center. What are your services? What are your assets? And what everything is doing on the cloud. You will be sending this information to Chronicle so that we can analyze this information and find out threats with VirusTotal or Mandiant. We will be collaborating with the SOAR, which is the collaborative side of Chronicle, so that everyone has information of what is going on in real time. And if you want to start creating some C-level dashboards, for example, you can extract the information from Chronicle and send it to our data warehouse, BigQuery. You can create dashboards using Looker so that you have an executive dashboard to look at, or you can even do forecasting and machine learning in order to figure out what threats are right now actually affecting your infrastructure, or what threats may be affecting you in the future, considering seasonality or other factors. So that is pretty much what we have for you today. Right now, we're showing you the resources, the security resources that we have. We have the cloud community event feedback, and you can find about the upcoming Google Cloud community events at this link. These are some dates for cloud observability, event management, and GKE cluster upgrades. So thank you very much. And I think it's time for questions, right, Eduardo and Lauren?
That's right. Thank you so much, both of you, for that presentation and the information that you shared. And yeah, as you covered, here are some of those quick resources, and we'd love to see you at one of our future events as well. And if you have ideas for future sessions or topics, please use that event feedback form, and we'd love to hear from you. And yes, we will start out with some pre-submitted questions, and then please, as we're going along, feel free to add any of your additional questions into the chat. We see we've gotten a couple, so we'll address those as well, but we'll make sure to get to them. Okay. So our first question is, how can Chronicle simplify Security Command Center and other solutions be used together, and what's the difference between them? And then on top of that, I think this question might be applicable within the response is what is used for the SIM.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, this is a great question. I think that was already addressed in the presentation, but sometimes some of the wording getting some confusion with our customers, specifically with Simplify. We did a rebrand with Simplify last year. So I'm going to go over the list so you can get a better understanding about which solution does what. So first one, Security Command Center, which is asset discovery and inventory. And then we have this whole suite of security operation, which is called Chronicle Security Operation. So first one, Chronicle CM, which is answering the other question about what Google uses for CM, is this one, right? And Chronicle SOAR. So Chronicle SOAR is the former Simplify. So every time you hear Chronicle SOAR from now on, it used to be what we called Simplify in the past. So on top of that, we have the threat intelligence in the Chronicle Security Operations as well. And last one, Mandiant. So Mandiant, as Javier had mentioned, is that twin that we have the security expertise in threats insights for responding high-profile incidents.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Our next question is, similar to open source tools like Scout Suite and Electric Eye for other clouds, is there anything for detecting Google Cloud misconfigurations?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, both Scout Suite and Electric Eye, they are both enabled in GCP, so they can use in GCP as well, not only other providers. So that's one thing. And second one, with our normal recommendation is the Security Health Analytics. So Security Health Analytics is part of the Security Command Center. You just have to go there and enable. So we left a documentation link for you to use. So it's very, very simple, and it's one of our best tools for this type of situation when you have misconfiguration.
Awesome. Thank you. And we just dropped a quick link to that in the chat so you can go straight to the resource. Okay, I want to know basic security structure used in Google Cloud and real-time cloud processes that can help avoid hacking and phishing attacks.
Absolutely. So as we mentioned in the presentation, we have the philosophy that's zero trust, right? So that means least privilege all the time to the users. So we know, which user is doing in where. So to explain these controls, we divide these in 5 items. So authentication. So we know who is going to be doing, who is going to be accessing the system. Authorization, what this person is going to be doing in the system. And then we have data encryption, making sure the data is not accessed by unauthorized persons. Network security, so we can protect the border from outsiders. And last one, web application security. So on level 7 of the Aussie layer, we can protect, that web application security to make sure there is no attacks on that specific layer.
Amazing. Sounds good. I think we have just a couple more. Is there a container scanning solution available for Firebase functions?
Sure. Actually, I can take that one. One option is to use Google Cloud Container Analysis. And this is one of our services that can actually scan container images for other vulnerabilities and security risks. It's something like what we showed at the CI/CD slide, where we actually check for vulnerabilities on the images themselves. So you can, what you do is you enable container scanning, and we will be scanning your function container images. We will try to find vulnerabilities and security risks, and you can take actually some action on them. Obviously you won't run the container image. And another way you can actually ensure the security of your containers is using a third-party solutions, such as Claire, Trevi, and Anchor. And if you want to use them, you have to follow the instructions for each particular solution provider.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Okay, so one question here we have is, what are the top ways to improve security posture in the cloud?
Well, this is a really deep question.
That's a big question here.
We could actually do a whole hour on this question. It's a great one. But there are a couple of things that you can start doing, and this is a question that we actually get a lot from our customers. What can we do to make sure that we can go out to the cloud, right? So this is like a basic solution. There are many more things that we can do, but the first thing you need to make sure of is that people don't have the privilege to do anything that they shouldn't be doing. So implement least privilege and role-based access control. Make sure that nobody can do anything that they shouldn't be doing. Next thing, really obvious, don't use password for a password. And it looks like I may be joking, but one of the intrusions that we had, it was because someone's put admin password on a production database. So really use secure passwords and use multi-factor authentication. Keep your software up to date. Security Command Center can help you with that. Use a cloud security posture management tools. It will actually help you identify and remediate security risks. This is something like Security Command Center. Basically, back up your data regularly. I can't count the times where a customer comes to us and say, help us recover this information. And we're like, sure, where's your backup? We don't have one. Okay, so this may be an issue because remember, due to the privacy security model, sometimes we do not do backups because we do not know if you want the information to be backed up or not. So back up your data regularly. Educate your employees about security best practice. Education is key. And these are just a few things. So there are many, many more things that you can do, but these are the basic things that we could tell you.
Lauren, if I can just do a small compliment on that, I think 90% of the attacks we seen last year in our customers, at least regarding to crypto mining, they were related to service accounts. So as Javier was mentioning, strong passwords, but making sure the service accounts are fully protected as well. These are by far the most, exposed thing that we've seen in the past.
Yes, and don't expose them on GitHub. This usually happens.
Great tips. Appreciate that. And yeah, don't worry about having to write all of this down or anything like that. We will be sharing it in the recap blog post in the community. So just wanted to call that out. And thank you for some of your questions. We will be sure to get to them. All right, so I think we have just one more before we dive into the live Q&A. Can you provide more courses or point me in the right direction for resources on becoming a Google Cloud security engineer?
This is a good one because I'm actually studying to become one. I need to present the exam. So the first thing that you need is a Google Cloud certified training. It's called Professional Cloud Security Engineer. You can find this information on basically on the Google Cloud Platform. You will be finding it on the Google Cloud Platform Fundamentals. You can also be looking at Google Cloud Security Best Practices, the security blog. Believe it or not, you may find some tips on the security blog that may be on the exam. Remember, we also have some test exams, some practice exams in our website itself. You can look for it as Google Cloud Certified Professional Cloud Security Engineer practice exam, and you'll get some questions that you can practice on, and you can figure out what information we're going to be asked on. And most important, quick labs. I believe it's quick labs, right, Eduardo? I don't remember if we call it just my mind if it's the same name. Cloud Skills Boost. Of course, I knew that we had changed the name. So try Cloud Skills Boost. The way that I understood how security works here is by doing a lot of Cloud Skills Boost, and it will be far easier for you to learn from actual practice than just study for an exam.
Perfect. And yeah, we just dropped the link to the Skills Boost Learning Path specifically for the security engineer certification into the chat. So you can check that out there. Okay, that covers our pre-submitted questions. So now we're going to hop into some of your live questions. All right, we have one here around agnostic solutions, specifically of interest to digital native accounts. Can you talk a little bit more specifically about these types of solutions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can. If you want, Eduardo, I can take part of this one. We also have many customers. As you remember, we showed you a slide where we showed you who we work with, third parties. Most of our customers like working with them because they are completely used to them. So what we actually do is an assessment to figure out how to implement this solution within their infrastructure. I think the ones that I have been working most with is, for example, Palo Alto. We have lots of customers that want the next generation firewall. We have no problem creating a specific project and a specific network interface for them to work with their next generation firewall. We don't have any problem working with third parties. One of the good things I think that we have as Google Cloud is that we like working with many vendors and many cloud providers. So we are very open to this, and it's not a problem for us. I don't know if you have another example, Eduardo.
No, I think this is great. Yeah, these are very good examples of this one.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Our next question is focused on GKE. So we have an app running on GKE, and we want to deploy the same application on-prem. What are the tools do we need to make this easier?
It's Anthos. It's something that we talked also about. I believe we have it on one of the slides too. We talked a little bit about when we were telling you about CI/CD supply chains, the software supply chain. So what Anthos does is that we take the same image on a single container and we can deploy it on-prem or we can deploy it on another cloud. But the advantage with Anthos is that you have a lot of governance within it because you are going to be having a single control plane for everywhere you are deploying your application. So you can actually be deploying, I'll give you an example. You can deploy it everywhere at once. You can deploy it on-prem and you have the cloud as a backup, or you can have several clouds running the same application and load balancing them within different load applications in different regions. So that's our solution.
Great. And I am going to just drop a quick link to a session that we have coming up in a couple of weeks on GKE specifically. So that may be of use to you, where we can dive a little bit deeper into those GKE focused questions. Okay, so our next one is, how can a startup explore all of these tools before making business decisions on what to go for?
Well, this can have another presentation on itself. So yeah, my first recommendation is that talk to your account team. There are many tools that can be trialed before you do any type of commitment. Understand. So account team can help you and even work with partners if that's the case to understand your business requirements and then propose the proper solution. So I wouldn't start just testing everything at once. So make sure the requirements are fully gathered and then talk to your account team and so they can understand which solution can fit into your environment. That would be my main recommendation.
Makes sense. All right. So one more question here is Cisco part of the brands supported? And I'm assuming this is as part of our security solutions. But if you have any additional clarification or context to that question, please.
Yeah. In the marketplace, you can find the Cisco firewalls like the ASA. They are available there. So if you need to do a solution that combines a third-party provider, that's possible as well. Not a problem.
Makes sense. All right. I think that covers all of our questions so far that were submitted. We did get another one just about asking if this will be available as a recording. Yes, you can watch from the same link that you're watching from now as soon as we close out today. And if you do have any additional questions, please drop them into the chat, into the YouTube comments, or in the Google Cloud community, and we'll be sure to follow up with you. With that, I just want to say thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you so much, Eduardo, Javier, for this session and for the information that you shared. And I hope that you will join us again for another session at some point focused on security or another topic around cloud. So with that in mind, I will drop the link to the event feedback form because we'd love to hear from you on any additional topics that we should dive into a little bit deeper. I know some of those questions we covered, we could do a whole session on. So please let us know what you want to learn more about, and we'd love to get that going. But thank you, Eduardo, Javier. Any final thoughts or recommendations before we close out today?
No, just thanks for joining everyone, and I hope to see you soon in our next session.
Same thing. And make sure to take advantage of the free trials and the offers that we have so you can start looking at our security solutions. Thank you very much for your time.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.